The Capitol, Roy Rogers, and the human heart are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is December 6, 2022. Is the 340th day of the year. You got 25 days left until you got to come up with a New Year's resolution. Today is the 49th Tuesday in the 49th week in the 76th day of fall. We got a little over 2 weeks, 15 days until winter. We actually had some snow here yesterday. It didn't really stick, but yeah, I mean, it snowed for a good 6 hours. It was just light and nothing really stayed. Today is National Microwave Oven Day, or as I call it here, the Science Oven. On December 6th, National Microwave Oven Day honors one appliance that changed how we use our kitchen. You know, honestly, I remember a time when microwave ovens were fairly new. I remember my parents actually getting their first one. Interesting device. I think, I maybe go a day without having to use a microwave these days. The microwave oven was kind of discovered and invented by accident. A self-taught American engineer, Percy Spencer, discovered a way to heat food safely with microwaves. While working with active radar in 1945, he noticed a melting chocolate bar in his pocket. The high-powered microwave beams created a heating effect ideal for cooking. Spencer deliberately attempted to cook popcorn. That was like the first thing that was intentionally cooked with microwaves, popcorn. And now that's kind of the only way people eat popcorn these days, unless they go to the movie theater. Next, he tried cooking eggs. Both the popcorn and the eggs created dramatic results. However, the popcorn was a success, the egg not so much. The egg exploded in his fellow engineer's face. You can actually cook an egg in a microwave now, you just gotta poach it. Spencer was employed by Raytheon and continued to experiment with different methods of heating food safely with microwaves. Raytheon filed a United States patent application for Spencer's microwave cooking process on October 8, 1945. In 1947, Raytheon built the first commercially available microwave oven. It was called the Radar Range. Oh, I didn't realize that. My aunt used to call it a radar range. These days, an estimated 90% of homes in the United States have microwave ovens in them. All right, let's see what else December 6th has given us. 1790, the U.S. Congress moves from New York City to Philadelphia. The nation's capital eventually moved to Philadelphia. It actually was in 9 different locations over its time and eventually ended up in Washington, D.C. 1865, Georgia ratifies the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The 13th Amendment was an amendment to the Constitution that outlawed slavery. To simplify it, the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution provides that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime, wherefore the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Basically, ending slavery unless you were convicted of something, because some people consider being sent to prison as slavery. As you can imagine, as soon as this came out in 1865 and it was ratified. Now, before Georgia and everyone else got it, there was a lot of different things going on the federal level. The amendment was passed by the Senate on April 8, 1864, by the House of Representatives on January 31st, 1865, and ratified by the required 27 of the 36 states on December 6th, 1865, and proclaimed on December 18th. This was the first of 3 Reconstruction amendments adopted following the American Civil War. Now, here's where it gets a little strange. Of course, some states didn't sign on at the time. They needed more time, and some of our states weren't even on the books yet, things like that. So that's why you don't have all 50. Some of the states held out just to hold out. Delaware didn't sign it till 1901. After rejecting it in February of 1865, Kentucky finally signed it in 1976 after it rejected it in 1865. So it took them almost 100 years to decide they were going to ratify this. And then our old friend Mississippi, well, they finally certified it on March 16th, 1995. You always count on Mississippi. 1884, the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. is completed. It's quite an impressive monument. If you ever get a chance to go to Washington, D.C., make sure you go see that. Get as close as you can because it's amazing. 1941, World War II. Camp X opens in Canada to begin training Allied secret agents for World War II. 1967, Adrian Kanowitz performs the first human heart transplant in the United States. 1999, a lawsuit, A&M Records versus Napster Incorporated. The Recording Industry Association of America sues the peer-to-peer file sharing service Napster, alleging copyright infringement. This was a strange time. Around 1999, computers really becoming a thing, and we could just download music like you do today, but it wasn't paid for. You know, I could put it up on my computer, and someone from their computer could reach over via the internet and just download it from my computer. So it became known as peer-to-peer. Well, yeah, this was piracy, basically. And they went back and forth because there was no laws on the books really that dealt with this type of thing. And if you know anything about the record industry, it sucked. And most record labels and most fans and even the bands didn't really see eye to eye. If you remember back in the day, you had to buy someone's album just to get 2 songs that you liked. Then the record labels, they never really paid the artists as much as they should. There was a great interview with Prince on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, where he was talking about why he changed his name. The reason was the name Prince was associated with a record label and he was kind of done with them. And because of the internet, he wanted to sell his music directly to the fans, which he did. That's why he became known as the artist formerly known as Prince. It wasn't that he was just some egotistical lunatic, which he was very egotistical, but still, I guess you could say he's very eccentric. But in that interview, he said, I forget the math on it, but it was something like this. He brought up Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey sold like 20 million copies of her CD. CDs at the time were going for like $16, which means if she would have sold 40 million copies of her CD at $16 a piece, the total income from that, not counting all the deductions and everything else like that, would be about $64 million. Prince said that at the time, she had gotten like $2 million for that album. Now, there's a lot of math that goes into it, like marketing and things like that, but 64 million and she makes like 2 million or 3 or 4, whatever he'd said in the interview, but it was a fraction of what this album made. That was kind of an eye-opening interview. 2006, NASA reveals photographs taken by Mars global surveyor suggesting the presence of liquid water on Mars. Movies released on December 16th, 2019, The Aeronauts. This was a great movie on Amazon Prime. A pilot and a scientist fight for survival while attempting to make discoveries in a hot air balloon. This is back in supposed to be in the 1800s, early 1900s. The movie is based on details from Richard Holmes' book, Falling Upwards, How We Took to the Air. It starred Felicity Jones and Eddie Redmayne. It also had Hamish Patel, whatever his name is, which he's in that movie Yesterday. Great actor. I love him. It's on Amazon Prime. It's one of their exclusives or, they made it. So watch it anytime. It's pretty good if you have Amazon Prime. Born on December 6, 1967, Judd Apatow, acclaimed film producer and director who relaunched the genre of raunchy comedy with hits like Knocked Up, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and Superbad. He initially gained fame as an executive producer for the series Freaks and Geeks and creator of the series Undeclared. Freaks and Geeks was a great show and it had so many people in it. It had Linda Cardinelli, James Franco, Jason Segel, Seth Rogen, Martin Starr, Busey Phillips. It was a great show. Only lasted 18 episodes, I think. It's like 1 season. He sort of got his start on the Ben Stiller show in the early 90s. That was another great show that didn't go on as long as it should have. Died on December 6, 1998, Roy Rogers, American actor who appeared in more than 100 movies. He also starred as a fictionalized version of himself in The Roy Rogers Show. He built a houseboat with his brother from salvaged lumber and moved to California to become musicians, forming a band called Sons of the Pioneers. He is often referred to as King of the Cowboys. I used to pass by the Roy Rogers Museum all the time when I was a kid when we go camping or whatever. It was in Apple Valley, California, and then it was in Victorville is where I believe we used to see it. We'd pass by. I never saw anyone in the parking lot. I was like, how's this place still a thing? I guess it wasn't a thing there much longer because they eventually moved it to Branson, Missouri in 2003. I remember watching him on Saturday mornings. They always had some movie or some show or whatever. I always thought it was pretty interesting. Well, this is interesting. Today is December 6th. Roy Rogers died on July 6th, 1998. My wife researched this one. I don't know how or why she put Roy Rogers' death on December 6th, but we're going for it. Let's just all get prepared for next July and we'll celebrate the death of Roy Rogers. This is just like a movie trailer for his death. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.